Hi, everybody. I want to talk to you a little bit about the creation of the red scorpion on GameMaker. It's a little problematic and not so clear, so this is just a little extra tutorial bit to help it out. So I'm already in GameMaker here, and I've loaded up my current version. This version is actually working. It's got quite a few other bits that are a little bit more sophisticated, but those come on with later lessons. I'm going to hide this so we have more screen space. And you can see when I run the game that the red scorpions anyway, never mind the blue ones, they haven't been fixed yet, but the red scorpions are working fine. They hit the wall and they reverse direction and their sprite flips around to the right direction. So they start originally as a scorpion right, but then when they have that collision event with the wall, they flip over and they turn left. And the way we do that is with the use of variables. And variables is one of the video lesson topics. It is important that you look at that, but I'm also going to give you a little bit of a cheat here and a little fast introduction to variables so that you can get it working with your red scorpion. Now, of course, all this needs to happen in the object scorpion, the object here. And by the way, too, when you start working on your blue scorpion, you can just copy. You can right-click, duplicate this red scorpion object, and then everything that was working for the red scorpion, you can then duplicate it and have it working for the blue scorpion. And the only thing that you'll need to change, of course, would be like the sprites and any other different actions that you want the blue scorpion to do. But that's something else. So here we are, we're in the object scorpion and it begins, I clicked on the room with the scorpions facing right and it's visible, not solid. And I need to do a create event, which is over here under main one, create event. And under the create event, this is the start of the variables. It doesn't really matter what you name the variable, but in this case, I just called it rather logically scorpion. No capitals, no spaces, and a value of 0, and not checking anything else. So that variable is going to count between 0 and 1 and 2, and it's going to help us define whether or not the scorpion flips to the left and uses that left-facing red scorpion sprite, or if it flips to the right when it hits the wall and uses the right scorpion sprite. So the way we do that, well, first of all, we need to start it moving. Okay, so we've already got this, done this. Start moving in a direction. Okay, so they're all starting basically moving right. The speed of 3, you could speed that up a little bit if you want to. No other checks. And then here's our step event. It's like an if-then statement in programming. And it's a pretty simple structure. It's just saying that if the variable scorpion is equal to 1, then we're going to start a sequence of commands, and that's in between these two little arrows here, start of a block, end of a block. We're going to change the sprite into the scorpion left. Okay, so if the scorpion variable is equal to 1, and I'll show you how that happens just a little bit later here. If the scorpion variable is equal to 2, then they're going to do these commands. We're going to do these commands. It's going to be the sprite of the scorpion facing right, like it was originally, and then it's going to set back to 0. Okay, back the scorpion variable back to 0, and then end that block. So this isn't too complicated. I know it's probably new for some of you, but it's not too complicated. It's just basically flipping the sprites back and forth to the right and the left, depending on if this variable that we made up is a 0 or a 1 or a 2. So here, let's look what happens when the scorpion has an object collision with the blocks. Bam, it sets the variable scorpion to 1, reverses the direction, and we know from back here that if the scorpion is 1, it's setting the sprite to the left. So it flips the image for us. Finished. Okay. And then this object bullet, that's something that comes in later lessons, so don't worry about that right now. But remember too, that, oh, one thing I forgot to say, it's adding this, it's relative. This check mark is really important. Let me go over it again. So if this variable is 1, yeah, it flips it and then it sets the sprite to the scorpion left and it goes back that direction. But this is relative. It keeps adding to whatever value it had before. So in other words, it's kind of like a +1, set variable scorpion to +1. So if it was already 1 before, then it's basically saying that the scorpion variable is now 2 because we have this checkbox on relative. It keeps adding to it. So that's really important to understand. And then that's how you get to down here sometimes too. It's not always just going to be the variable equal to 1. Sometimes it's going to be equal to 2, which means, again, we flip it back to the scorpion right sprite, and then it starts going the other direction, right? And then that's why we have this command in here, set it back to 0, so that the next time it hits the wall, it's going to be back to scorpion variable equal to 1, and it's going to flip it and execute these commands up here. So I hope that makes some sense. Give it a try, and it should work. I think I've covered everything that you need to add. And then, like I say, too, you can duplicate this object for the blue scorpion. Give it a try, see if it works.